Hello, hello.
Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Spider Mania. Yay. Welcome to Two Geek Girls. I'm Crysstal Hubbard.
And I'm Geek Girl Lyssa.
Geek Girl Lyssa. Because she's awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We have so much to talk about. There's so much going on. We hope you've had a wonderful week and an excellent holiday season so far. In case you missed it, yesterday was bad, Lyssa. In case you missed it, yesterday was the last day for ground transportation through the U.S. Postal Service and FedEx. You could still do expedited. So we hope that those care packages get to your family and friends safe and sound. I know mine are going to be a couple days late because derp. But that's okay. Other than that, how is everybody doing today? See a few of you. How are you doing this week, Lyssa?
I'm doing all right. It's been a week.
This has been one for the books. That is for sure.
On Monday, I do Bros and Dragons on Monday nights, which is also a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And the previous session, my character had fallen down and was on death saves at the end of the session because Hannah, so Stroop, had a pet sitting emergency and had to duck out.
Oh no.
So I had an entire week to contemplate the mortality of my changeling. She did survive.
Okay.
But she also went down a second time when she got up. So I had no spell slots for a while because I was just healing.
It really is draining, isn't it?
It was not a good time. I got eaten by a bear, basically.
It's hard to tell if people come into these conversations at the right time.
I know, right? I got eaten by a bear. What type of bear? Are we talking about, like, the LGBT plus community bear?
It's just been one of those weeks. It's just been one of those weeks. You just don't know until anything else has happened. But there we go. Okay, so on tonight's show, of course, welcome to Spider Mania. No, I'm not one of those people that ran out at 6 o'clock tonight or 4 o'clock tonight or whenever they started showing Spider-Man. So as soon as I'm done here, I am busting off the internet because I'm not going to see Spider-Man until tomorrow afternoon. I recommend seeing it as soon as possible, just because for reasons, and that's what I've chosen to do, is sleep in tomorrow and just go right to the movie theater. So that will be me. Other than that, we'll be trying to catch up with everything else that's happening up until you do get a chance. So no spoilers or anything for Spider-Man tonight. No promises next week. However, spoiler alert for the last few minutes of today's show, because we will be talking a little bit about that leaked footage, which appears to be something between a Multiverse of Madness teaser trailer and a post-credit scene that happened in Spider-Man. So we will be talking about that, and just at the end, we'll issue a spoiler alert, and you're welcome to duck out if you don't want to know anything about what happened. We also be talking about Hawkeye. I'm completely caught up with 5 episodes, so spoiler alert listed for that. Other than that, we'll just be talking about stuff that you could find anywhere. So there you go. But before we get into that, of course, as we've said, it's one of those weeks. And this was a hard week. This was a hard week for a lot of fans, a lot of pop culture. And I know for me and Lyssa, we lost a big one this week. Kind of like would never die for reasons. And so this week we lost Dan Rice.
Yep. She died at 80 because of complications from a stroke, according to her son.
She had been ill for some time. We knew that Christopher, her son, had taken over her social media, had been caring for her. Not much about her medical issues have been released in the last few months, but we did understand that she was not quite herself the last few months. And she's battled diabetes, and she's battled several other issues over the years, but she had a little pep in her step last year and the year before, certainly, as there were talks about the Lestat, or at least the Vampire Chronicles TV show.
Yep.
At that time, Other movies have been made in the last few years. I don't remember what year Feast of All Saints came out, but I know that some other movies had come out, not as big. And of course, her son publishing books. The last Lestat novel had come out only a couple of years ago. It wasn't that long ago that the last one came out. So yeah, that was a big one. And I know for me and for Lyssa as well. I mean, this is the woman that changed how people, certainly Hollywood, viewed vampires, the marketing of vampires, the romanticism, making them not Gary Oldman, but Brad Pitt, and something she we greatly attributed with. Certainly very active in the LGBTQ community before it was even called that, many years ago. Many great works, and certainly, as people have said, an excellent voice for the outsider.
Yep.
So that's a big change to see that one go.
Oh, they're apparently going to be doing a TV series based on the Mayfair witches.
Okay, that makes sense. I know that there was some talk about that. God, I want to say like 10 years ago. At some point, they were talking about that. They were talking about doing. Well, they did Feast of All Saints, which ties into Mayfair witches. Okay.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So they've got Anne Rice's Mayfair Witches is in pre-production.
Okay.
And Lives of the Mayfair Witches has been announced, apparently. Because you got me curious. I was like, how many books and TV series have been based on Anne Rice's works?
And honestly, 2 musicals. So I did get to see the Vampire Lestat musical when it opened in New York City. Unfortunately, the writing was on the wall. It was done by Elton John. If I'm going to be completely honest, it was done in a style that was not the most appropriate for those characters. And it was done, quite frankly, with Elton John. He's kind of past his Broadway prime. You know,
that's fair.
You know, like you wouldn't be able to open shows that he did today.
Mm-hmm.
And Vampire Lestat the musical wasn't that long ago. There were some great 11 o'clock numbers in it.
Yeah, that one came out when I was reading the books in high school, I want to say.
That'd be about right. It was the early aughts when it came out. It was post 9/11, before the crash. And the new Columbus Circle building had gone up. And that's actually where they threw the party for opening night. So I did not go to the show opening night. I went to the show actually during one of the previews.
Okay. First came out in premiered at Kieran Theater, San Francisco, California on December 17th, 2005.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, middle school, high school.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it had its New York premiere like the next year. Not that long out, like 2006. If I'm remembering
Musical
right.
Opened on Broadway at the Palace Theater on March 25th, 2006, closed on May 28th, 2006.
Yeah.
So yes, you are correct.
Writing on the wall for that one, unfortunately. Again, cast worked really hard. Anne absolutely adored it. She was there for the premiere, of course. But unfortunately, there's no accounting for audience taste. Then Broadway at this point was saturated with vampire musicals. You had the new incarnation of Dance of the Vampires with Michael Crawford coming back to Broadway. You had, which I also saw, and lasted longer than Lestat. So I'm going to give it that. Dracula the musical came back. Bad casting. Great effects. Bad casting.
It happens to the best of us.
Dance of the Vampires would make a great cult musical. That would make a great like touring Rocky Horror Picture Show style musical. Even the American iteration, because it's basically you have the movie that came out, and then you had the UK version of the musical. Again, great 11 o'clock numbers. Obviously, the cast working their ass off. Every single dancer in New York who had any credit was in that musical, Dance of the Vampires. It was a lot of fun. But Lestat the musical, a lot of people wanted it to work. They've basically tried everything. This is how big this woman was. They've tried everything with this. The other one that they tried to do was Cry to Heaven, the musical. And that was a hard 90s attempt at a musical. I don't think it ever made it out of the recording studio. I own one of the few recordings of the tape.
Oh.
Yeah. And cute. I've only heard audio. Cute little numbers. But you got to imagine taking the story Cry to Heaven and turning it into a cute musical. Yeah. Yeah.
Tone difference. Not exactly.
Yeah, there's a song called Bedtime Bouncing, which I guess is nighttime for the little castrati boys, and I have no comment. Anyway, that one never made it out of the recording studio, but I do have it. Someday I need to get it done on digital. I put this in a safe and I hold on to it. Literally what I do with it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because I don't think that many copies of it still exist. But it was, again, there you go. So, end of an era. Anne Rice was huge for me growing up. Probably the same age you were, middle school, high school age.
Yep. Hello, Donnie.
Hi, Donnie. How you doing? Let's see. Bob Mustad.
I think that's Rob. Hi, Rob. But yeah, no, Anne Rice was iconic for a reason. And you can tell based on her writing, like when she was suffering like mental health crises and things like that, because like when she wasn't in the best state, she would write her books very, very religious. That's how she coped with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell.
You
can definitely tell the ebb and flow of when she was going through something based on like how the religious themes came through.
Yep, and she had a lot of tragedy and a lot of hard things happen in her life. As many people did, which is why reason a lot of her writing really spoke to a lot of people. Obviously, there are things that don't age as well. That's fine. We will work around when things get adapted. They'll work around. They'll find the main themes, and they'll hopefully just latch onto that. That's all. No, it's very difficult for somebody who is raised having a certain view. She was raised diehard Catholic.
Yep.
Lost her faith early on, especially with tragedy in her life.
Her mom died when she was 15 from, I think, complications from alcoholism, if I'm reading this correctly. And then you add in the fact Catholic school. You don't even need to expound on anything in regards to, you just said Catholic school and everyone's like, oh
yeah, lots of issues. And then she was very, very passionate, because when she hated the Catholic Church, she hated the Catholic Church. When she hated religion, she hated religion. When she hated other religions, as Olive is pointing out, she hated them. Again, very complicated figure. This is somebody, as us as kids, we're latching on to the romanticism of vampires, and we're latching on to the romanticism of witches and maybe the mystics of the Deep South. Yep. And you're latching on to these feeling of outsiders who have to hide who they are, but they know that there's something more to what they could have, and that's the way a lot of young minds are going to feel, right or wrong, especially people who, obviously this would be a big one if you cannot be accepted for your sexuality or identity or your true gender, something like that. This would have been a big one. But yes, it's again complicated figure. Lots of things don't age well. Not perfect. There were times I didn't read her books. There were books of hers I don't like. There are opinions of hers I don't like. 100%. But I'm going to give this horror queen the credit that she deserves.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Mayfair Witches, like depending on what you're reading in that line of the trilogies that she's written, some of it's like rather problematic, like the stuff with Taltos. Don't get me wrong, I love that book. It's a great book.
Yeah, let's just say Sleeping Beauty and Belinda are not published anymore. We're going to make that really clear right now.
Yeah. Which actually, my parents, I think, still have a copy of Sleeping Beauty.
I have it on tape. Somebody actually put that to tape. Yeah. Yeah. I have like a first edition of Belinda. No. I'm pretty sure I could get arrested for having that book now.
Could you?
No. No more so than you could get arrested for having Lolita. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously not going to be published anymore. And no author would get no editor would do it again. So with good reason. So there you go. We send off somebody who is certainly an enormous part of my life.
Yes.
And and for a lot of people, I think for a lot of people, whether it's Anne Rice or somebody else, you can pinpoint a certain artist who gets you interested in other things.
Yes. And see, that's the thing. Like, just because you don't necessarily enjoy or agree with an artist later on after, like, if they springboarded you into enjoying a certain genre, for example, you can definitely appreciate the art while criticizing it. Like, it's well known that Anne Rice was very strict about fan fiction.
Yeah.
And as soon as people found out that she passed away, AO3, it just apparently filled up with Vampire Chronicles fan fictions, like some of them dating back to the 90s, because you can on AO3 you can post date something. So like I've seen like clips of people going through AO3, and one of them was written in 95. Like
huge. No. Going back. No, listen, we read it. We read it in school. We read this in middle school.
I did too.
As soon as that. Yeah. No, we read it. It was.
Does anyone else remember Quizilla and all the fan fictions on there?
That was one of the.
That's where I read my Vampire Chronicles fan fictions.
Yeah.
Like that website doesn't even exist anymore. I want to go back and read the horrible fan fiction on Lestat I wrote.
It does get
middle school.
It does. Yeah.
I just
gotta start somewhere. Gotta start somewhere. It's okay. All right. So welcome, Stephen. Hi, Donnie. We said hi. Oh, hi. Being joined by more. How's everybody doing? Hop in. Okay. And while we get a chance, yes, we are going to talk about Spider-Man in just a minute. And while we're getting ready to do that, I do want to see in the comment section the craziest theory that you've got. If you've already seen the movie, don't you fucking say a word. But if you haven't seen the movie, the craziest theory that you got. I don't know what it's is it gonna be something about Fantastic Four? Is it gonna be about Lizard Man? Because they released different trailers in different countries, and there are different things in different trailers. It's really messing with me. But there you go. Okay, so we'll get into that. And Hawkeye, and I mean, basically, so here we are, getting ready for the craziness that is going to be Phase 4 of Marvel.
Yep.
Here we go. Okay, started out with WandaVision. Let's say that it really starts with WandaVision. Okay.
Yeah.
So WandaVision, Loki. Now we've got the other craziness that's happening with what happened in Loki. We've got Spider-Man No Way Home, and that's going to lead into Multiverse of Madness. Okay, how crazy is this getting? How insane is this going to get? I don't know. We're already talking about the possibility of X-Men. We're already talking about the possibility of obviously multiple Spider-Men. We're talking about the possibility of Fantastic Four. I mean,
I love that the Multiverse of Madness opens it up that the events in these movies that have existed prior to the MCU being the MCU like the original X-Men movies, like Fantastic Four, like all the other iterations of Spider-Man. It opens it up for these to be canon, just not for the main timeline.
Right. So when they did Far From Home, we got Mysterio's explanation of other Earths. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So now, even though it was not, yeah, but it was great. I thought Far From Home had some really smart moments, and it had a really smart way of kind of introducing, the multiverse, which it technically did.
Yes.
Okay.
It wasn't in the movie being technically introduced, but
Right.
it introduced the idea. And as soon as they said, "Oh, like multiverse theory," I'm like,
okay,
this is where we get multiverse. This is where they introduce multiverse of madness stuff. Yes. Like as soon as that came out, I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
They're setting it up.
Yes, absolutely. So no way.
Wasn't there meant to be a Wasp TV show being made from like Ant-Man? I don't remember anything about that.
I don't remember that. I think there's supposed to be another movie.
Yeah.
For sure. I think I remember something like that. I don't know. Who can keep up anymore? Just release the next phase too. This is a lot. I need a whole chart. I need a PowerPoint presentation.
Do we have the flow chart? Who has the flow chart?
That's the flow chart. 2014 flow charts at this point. Yeah, and the question also is, so we have one universe that's basically laying the groundwork for them not to be mutants.
Yeah.
But something else. And then with the multiverse, you have the idea of X-Men themselves and actually, Deadpool cameo, because who else is going to cause problems but Wade?
Oh yeah, it's Wade.
It's Wade.
I can't wait for him to officially be introduced into the MCU.
So yes. Now, I'm also going to do a little nod here to Michael Keaton, because there is in one of the trailers. It's a trailer. It's not a spoiler. It's in the trailer for No Way Home. You have you have them walking past a newsstand, and there's a magazine with Vulture's daughter on the cover giving an interview, of course, about Peter, because she's kind of a bitch. And she does that. So once again, doing a nod to the fact that the daughter is still there and doing articles.
She exists still. She didn't just stop existing as soon as Peter stopped dating her, because her dad's a crazy man.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Let's just talk about the fact that your date had to leave you to go save the world from your dad.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. So little nod to the fact that Michael Keaton, of course, could always come back. As Vulture. And let's just give a shout out to how cool is Michael Keaton. When we were watching
Michael Keaton, I'm so glad he is making a comeback, because Michael Keaton is just one of those actors that he was always kind of understated. He even when he had his heyday as Mr. Mom and fucking Batman, he was still understated.
He was kind of niche actor. You had to have that combination of funny and everything else. And then is he just going to be stuck being Batman for the rest of his life? Is this just what people are going to know him for? And then a couple of bombs.
Yeah.
And a couple of cameos that weren't so bad. And then boom, Birdman. So, I mean, it's kind of like watching a renaissance of his career exist right now. He's one of the creators and one of the stars of the amazing show Dope Sick that was on Hulu. Mm-hmm. And by the way, a little Easter egg, I'm not going to say who it is, but if you guys are Buffy the Vampire Slayer, early aughts fans of shows like that, you would be really surprised to see who the executive producer and creator of that show is. Just going to give you a little Google search right there. So Michael Keaton and him would do a lot of the publicity for Dope Sick, which of course is about the Sackler family being the ultimate supervillains in real life. Point of fact, Sackler name has been removed from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And it's going to be removed from everything else after that. So fuck the Sacklers. I don't even care if YouTube cares. So there you go. But yeah, Michael Keaton, who could possibly come back as Vulture, and of course the Flash trailer dropped, and we get the amazing profile in the other Batcave. I don't know if you've seen the Flash trailer.
Not yet.
Yeah, we get it's like, oh, I know that cowl. I know whose ears those are.
Hey,
and they're not George Clooney.
Who might that be?
Yeah, they're not George Clooney's, so we're good.
Okay, so maybe unpopular opinion. I would love to see George Clooney back as Batman, just so he gets the chance to redeem himself.
I would love to see him do like an older Batman thing. Like, I think a lot of people are totally open to this. Obviously, there's a way to make it work. He's George Clooney. It'd be also be great to see kind of maybe a possible iteration of, you know, real Playboy Bruce Wayne as George Clooney would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if there was ever somebody who could be Batman, but if they were just George Clooney, we would never like look at.
It's like, oh no, you know, that is actually just the Playboy philanthropist.
George
the
Clooney.
Billionaire Playboy philanthropist, George Clooney.
Yeah.
Like, totally unproblematic.
So, yep, we get these, and it's great in the new Flash trailer. Go watch it. The new Flash trailer. Not only do we get like kind of the Tim Burton, Danny Elfman theme coming up out of it, we get the cowl, and then there's a
Nerdgasm,
and then there's a tarp over a car, and you know exactly what car it is, and you're like, ah, yes. And Flash is freaking out because Flash is a nerd. So it was great. It was great.
Olive, you are not incorrect. It was supposed to be quote unquote campy Batman with all-star villains like the TV show. The issue was when you started getting things like the Bat card, like the MasterCard Batman. Like,
it was just so inundated.
Also, like, another thing is there are things that work in an animated show that don't work in film. They are two very different mediums, and like something that's going to work in a cartoon, it's like, oh, you know, like XYZ person exploded. That works fine in animation because, you know, first off, no one's potentially getting killed.
Right.
But second off, like, the things you have to do in real life to try and capture that same feel are so much more involved, cost so much more money, and unless you do it exactly right, you are going. It literally, it's like a 1 in a million chance that you're going to get it correct.
And but I do want to say that I think that there's something that works in all medium, and that's a good script.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Something else that the Batman Robin movie was
lacking,
and that is absolutely a giant spider, too many chefs in the kitchen scenario, because Batman Forever was an enormous commercial success, and you're talking about a comic book merchandising commercial success that wasn't Disney and was before X-Men.
Yep. Also, whoever was in charge of casting for that movie, don't get me wrong, from a like almost like B-movie perspective, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze is fucking hilarious. However, that is not Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is an intelligent scientist whose only reason for being a villain is so he can fucking save his wife.
It's a very tragic character. It's a very tragic, hard character. And
like there are plenty of times where Mr. Freeze actually teams up with Batman. He's like, yeah, technically he's a villain, but he's more an anti-hero than he is a villain.
You're dealing with an age where something that worked on TV was Lois and Clark, which was very much the 90s version of exactly what you're talking about, which is the campy 60s version of Batman.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Lois and Clark was. And let's face it, after Tim Burton was no longer involved with the Batman movies, you know, I mean, you had Batman Forever. Again, huge commercial success, regardless of how you feel about the movie, and I enjoyed it thoroughly as a child.
Yeah.
I did. Jim Carrey fan. How could I not? But I mean, you know,
Jim Carrey worked as Nigma.
Oh,
Let's
no,
not
no,
gonna lie, he
100%.
worked well.
100% committed, and I was in. Yeah. So you're,
I still kind of love that Tommy Lee Jones hates Two-Face now.
He hated Jim Carrey too, and I just found that to be a little bit unprofessional. But he's Tommy Lee Jones, so whatever. What do I know? But little shout out to Michael Keaton. Little shout out to the possibility of getting Vulture back. I mean, why not? We're definitely getting the Sinister Six. I don't care what they say. We're definitely getting the Sinister Six.
Oh yeah, no matter what, we will get the Sinister Six.
Yeah,
because it is my understanding they're actually going to be signing more Spider-Man contracts. So
yeah,
because of the fact that the Sinister Six is like the big bads of the Spider-Verse.
and that's the other one. You have Into the Spider-Verse. You have the
that's coming out too.
The next one coming out, and that great, fantastic films. I would not be at all surprised.
I cannot wait for Into the Spider-Verse too. The first one was phenomenal.
It was. I mean, even the way they filmed it, you notice that like when Miles is learning, like they slowed down the frame. So that he doesn't move like Peter Parker, so that he moved like it was so.
Yep, that was actually a conscious decision on their part.
Right.
They did purposefully make it so that the frames per second were slower when he was in that gangly, I'm a learning teenager, like I have to grow into these powers, and then later on, like it slowly gets faster and faster and faster as he gets closer to learning about his powers, how to use them, how to do this. And it finally gets up to, I think it was 60 frames per second. I could be wrong. I don't remember how many frames per second it was.
Yeah. It was a lot. And you can go, it's just so smart. So of course, anything tying in with Spider-Verse is going to be huge. Again, I cannot imagine that they're going to have Alfred Molina saying.
Okay, excuse me. The full frames per second was 24 frames per second.
24 frames. Thank you. I think it was slowed down to like 16 for somebody else. Like me, if that was it, something like that.
Creators did something interesting with the animation of the characters themselves, often reducing the animation to 12 frames per second, animating on twos, which is usually done in 2D animation or stop motion in anime. So one new drawing every 2 frames.
And you see it, you feel it without really realizing what you're watching. The movie's just that smart. It's just that good. And it shows. So I'm really, really excited for the next one. I'm going through all the theories. Of course, my theory is that people are absolutely correct. I cannot imagine that they're bringing in these villains and not going to have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
It'd just be weird at this point. Like,
the MCU needs Iron Duck.
They had Throg. Why not?
We also got Howard the Duck.
We have Howard the Duck. He's been in 2 now. So that makes sense. Of course. Fantastic Four would be, and they've mentioned a descendant. They've mentioned an ancestor and a descendant of I can't think.
Mood. No thoughts, just air.
It's just air.
It's the hair dye. It's getting to you.
The blonde is sleeping in. I may have had IQ points to spare, but not that many.
I reckon they'll end up doing a live action Miles Morales due to apparently Tom Holland apparently wanting to step down. Yes. See, that's the thing. Like Tom Holland has spent the better part of his adult life being Spider-Man.
Yep.
Because he was like just barely an adult when he got cast as Spider-Man the first time. And he he wants to move on to different things. He doesn't want to just be typecast as Spider-Man, and I get that. That's why like we're seeing him in other roles that are like more action oriented,
right? And
coming out.
Yes, which he's tried to fit in more, more of those movies as much as he can in between filming all of this. Nobody wants to be typecast. Don't you pull out my cord? Yeah. So, yeah, no, and he's stated today. He even had an interview today where he was talking now that him and Zendaya are out officially. Mm-hmm. He's been talking about he wants to settle down, have a family. Don't blame you.
Yeah, because he's like what 26 now, or same year.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So. Again, all of these introductions, it doesn't make sense that you would have all the villains come out and not have the spider guys come out. I mean, come on. Andrew Garfield's been lying his ass off for months. That's okay. I forgive him.
It's okay. We get it. We understand it.
We understand.
Even if you were just on for a after credits scene.
A clip show. It's just a clip show. That's okay. Yeah. So that's
those Disney NDAs are nothing to scoff at too.
Oh God, no.
They will sue your ass over them.
I'm convinced they did a Doctor Strange Spider-Man crossover just so Cumberbatch would babysit Tom. He's always sitting next to him or behind him watching like.
You're probably not wrong.
I'm not. If you watch montages, they babysit him. It's so cute. He's like, I want to do this. He's like sweating. Tom is sweating bullets. Like,
well, I still love that one time that Hulk, his actor. What is actor's name?
Ruffalo.
Yes, Ruffalo had his phone still live streaming in his pocket during a premiere.
Because it's just the kind of thing he does. Yeah. I remember the time Don Cheadle almost beat his ass.
Hard. I laughed so hard. I'm like, of course. Like the ultimate butt dial.
It's so cute. It's so cute. Don't fart. Whatever you do, don't fart, Mark.
Like, blink twice if Disney has you held captive in the basement, Mark.
3 times. Yeah, no, so the last interview they did was, of course, Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy's looking right at Tom the whole time, and everyone's like, "Stop looking at him! Stop it!"
Yes. Oh, I will be back.
No problem.
Need to help with Opa.
Okay, be right here. All right, so yeah, Iron Duck would be great. I mean, again, you're talking about the multiverse. There's literally nothing that they can't do. There's nothing that they can't. It might be easier to say, what are the things you feel like, even in a multiverse situation, could never work? What's something that's never going to happen in Phase 4? That's what I would like to know. What do we think is never going to happen? So there you go. But basically, I feel like I need a whole chart, PowerPoint presentation, flow charts, pop-up graph to help me understand everything that they're showing us. And it's reminding me of so many comic books that I read, up until probably the early 2000s for certain storylines that they're going through. My readership was a little spotty when we got into the 2010s compared to when I was younger, but it's a lot of information to take in. So trying to understand everything about all of these characters. America Chavez, fantastic addition. So we know that she's going to be partnered with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Very curious if she'll be introduced in Spider-Man No Way Home, which, with the multiverse going bonkers, that's going to be on the radar for a lot of people. Again, we have season 2 of Loki that'll continue, and Tom Hiddleston has already done a couple of interviews on how the character is shaping up in that season. So I don't think Loki will be in the films anytime soon. I think we're just going to see it tie into it's. We're going to see the continuation of what's happening with Loki. I'm going out there. West Side Story. Sorry, Spielberg. I really don't have a hint. It's a lot. It's a lot. And part of it too is I'm trying not to think too much about the comic books and the storylines that I've read. Like the No Way Home storyline is tied into a hard Peter Parker storyline that doesn't really have anything to do with Doctor Strange per se. So there's a little bit of those in there. Of course, watching the trailers and seeing them reveal not only the villains that are coming out of the Sinister Six through each trailer, showing a replay of MJ doing the Gwen Stacy fall in the trailer. Of course, everything that's happening with Doctor Strange. I was just saying, I thought America Chavez might be introduced in this movie as opposed to the next one, but it's hard to tell. She's only been listed in the cast for Multiverse, but
okay,
you never know. I don't know, because they've clearly edited the trailers. They edited things out. The amount of time people have on their hands. I only have time to watch what they do. I don't have time to slow down the trailers and do the freeze frames that people do, because they spotted that things had clearly been taken out of certain trailers but left in other ones. Yeah. So it's crazy. You all right? Sorry.
I just partially inhaled.
Don't get liquid in your lip. Do it.
I'm not gonna drown on White Claw. That is not a great way to die.
We might have lost Lyssa. Let's make sure she's okay.
I'm okay.
So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you have Sword, of course, elaborated on in WandaVision. So there's a big tie-in. Since we're not getting Scarlet Witch is going right into the film. She's going right into that. She's not doing a sequel like Loki is. Not sequel, sorry. Season 2. We have Other Vision. Don't forget Other Vision. We have the Kree still out there. And of course we have the ending of Spider-Man Far From Home to think about.
Yeah. No, there's a lot going on.
Again, flowchart.
Does someone have a flowchart? We just need to
they're all online.
The background.
I gotta print it out. This is gonna be insane. It's gonna be nuts. But yes, Tom Holland has. I think he has another 3 he's in for. I don't know if they're all standalone.
I think he does. That's what I heard, that they were, because the contracts are up, but they were signing contracts again so that like the next grouping would be 3. So
right. And we've
so if you I'm glad you said 3 because that's what I've heard as well.
Yes, that is what I've heard. And in addition to this, so after this one, he signed on for 3 more, which would. I think one of them is like one more Spider-Man movie, and then the
rest are probably multiverse related.
Correct. That's what I understood. He was signed on for, and I think that's the end of it for him. Okay. So I'm just going to sidebar right here, Donnie. Why did it take Power Rangers and Godzilla so long to cross over? That's way too long. That should have happened years ago. But yes,
it should have.
For that one.
It kind of should have, given that the Zoids.
Yes. So Kate Bishop. So again, we also talk about Hawkeye. Again, we're talking young Avengers. We have multiple young Avengers who've been introduced, especially through the Disney Plus shows. So my guess is we get a Young Avengers Disney Plus.
Yes, I agree. So like, okay, at this point we've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5.
I think we have 5 total that have come.
We have at least 4, if not 5.
Yes. So that Next Generation. There you go. That would make a great show. That would make sense on Disney Plus, which also now has announced the Goonies show, by the way.
I don't know how to feel about this.
A lot of people don't know how to feel about that.
This could either be amazing,
Yeah.
because it could be like a generic coming of age hijinks series.
Yeah.
Or it could be horrible.
Or it could be awful.
Because it's just them trying to capitalize on nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, if Sean Astin is not one of the parents in it, being Mikey as an adult, and these are his, like, you know, at least one of his kids is in the group, I am going to fight God.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. So Disney Plus moving into that. Of course, we have the announcement of other, and you know, okay, Hawkeye spoiler for episode 5. Hawkeye spoiler. Okay.
Where'd it go? I've got a. There we go.
Potential spoiler. So the casting was already announced, as well as the announcement for Charlie Cox returning as Daredevil was announced.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of Hawkeye, that came out yesterday, we saw Vincent D'Onofrio portraying Kingpin.
Yep.
Okay. That casting wasn't, it was already announced, honestly. Like it already said on IMDb, Vincent D'Onofrio, Kingpin. Okay.
Yep.
So there you go. So that reveal, that as we go through Disney Plus and how, you know, Disney is really trying to balance Sony, Fox, MCU, Disney Plus.
Yeah.
All being part of Phase 4.
It's definitely one of those things that I'm curious, because it's a lot of balancing. It's a very, very interesting balancing act that they've got to pull with this. And so, like, seeing how they're going to pull it off, how are they going to introduce the Fantastic Four, the mutants just as a whole, not even like the X-Men, like just mutants themselves as a concept.
Yes, now they have one crazy theory that came out from for Spider-Man is a possible introduction to Sue Storm.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah. And we have seen mentions of family members who are related to, hold on. I suddenly cannot think of his name. Reed.
Oh, yeah.
We have seen people that were related to Reed mentioned in other shows and films. So we know that the Fantastic Four exist in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's going to be interesting.
It's more that, like, they've totally ignored the fact that mutants are a thing with the MCU so far. Like, the closest we've gotten is Inhumans.
And yeah. And again, that's the idea of Marvel doing a different introduction, creating that the MCU is its own universe. Hence, they call it the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is not a mistake. And the characters that we know of as X-Men characters or affiliated with mutants would be created in a different way. Hence, we have this version of Wanda Maximoff and everything around her and her twin brother being different in the MCU. Mostly. So there's that. Why does it smell over here? You guys smell. My dogs need baths. Horribly. That's okay. So yeah, let's see. One She-Hulk movie, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. That one's gonna be interesting. I am excited for that film. There's a lot that I'm looking at that they announced for the last part of Phase 4 and I believe the beginning of Phase 5. That I think, or it's at least the ones that are going to lead into Phase 5. And trying to piece all of this together is a lot. We could literally talk about it for hours and still probably not get much of an answer. But there you go. We're gonna give that a shot. So Let me tick that off. Yes, we have Disney. We have Goonies coming to Disney Plus. I don't know what to think about that. Hey, if there were any must-see holiday movies, I'm still, although I'm going to give the Holly Jolly Hawkeye TV show with all of its Christmas carols in it, technically a holiday show, I guess. Thank you, Hawkeye. But I am absolutely. I'm curious about any other feel-good holiday movies. Maybe not on Lifetime or Hallmark, unless they're really good. Just curious. Netflix always has some chinky movie that comes out. So I'm curious about any other. If you got them, let me know in the comment section if there's any that you've watched. Or if you're just a traditionalist and you've watched Home Alone and you're planning to watch Christmas Story all day.
All right. Wonder where She-Hulk movie or TV show will fit into this. That's a good question because I think they have to recast now.
Yeah.
Because of what Gina did.
Well, we got what's her face this time as She-Hulk. I knew her from. I had just seen her in something else.
Well, I know they had originally cast Gina Carano, excuse me, as She-Hulk.
Wow, it's Tatiana Maslany. I didn't know nothing about Gina Carano actually being officially cast as that. So
she had been a while back.
Okay.
A while back, but this was also
Maslany.
Before the stuff that happened with her views on Twitter, and
she would not play ball. She's out.
Yep.
So then she went on like, oh, they fired me. Yeah, and
yeah. That's what happens when you are representing a company.
That's the way it works. So it's Tatiana Maslany.
Okay.
If I'm saying that wrong, let me know. There you go. So yes.
It's funny. Oh, her.
Yes.
Okay.
Charlie Cox and Mark Ruffalo are both in the She-Hulk show. Yes, they are. And Tim Roth as well. Shout out to that.
All right. She did a great job with Orphan Black. So I am curious how
her casting was announced quite a while ago, honestly. So maybe it was like right after they let Gina go. Maybe that's what happened. But yes, I was very excited when I heard that show. Yeah, she's brilliant. She is absolutely brilliant. I'm excited. Yeah, Tim Roth is Abomination. I'm excited. There's a teaser trailer out if y'all want to see it. So there you go.
Yeah, drops for She-Hulk teaser trailer starring her from a month ago.
Yep.
Actually. It was on Disney Plus Day.
Yeah. So I'm actually curious with Kingpin coming into this. And shout out. So we have a deaf vigilante in Hawkeye. We have a half-blind dog. And we could, of course, have Daredevil come back, who I guess still kind of counts as blind.
He is blind. He doesn't actually see. He just has supernatural, preternatural abilities that allow him to move around better.
He's like a bat.
Yeah.
Like a bat.
He does echolocation.
Echolocation. So, there you go. Okay. Oh, and shout out, speaking of Christmas things that I can't wait for, the Harry Potter cast is going to reunite after the first of the year, on the first of the year.
Yes, I did hear about that. I mean, what, it's like the 20th anniversary?
20 years.
Yeah.
20 years since, yep. And then of course, the trailer for the Dumbledore.
Yes, that just dropped.
Dropped as well.
I'm wondering if we're going to get actual confirmation other than just, JK saying this is so, that Dumbledore is gay.
I mean, honestly, they've shown, and I have nothing wrong with it being normalized as much as we would normalize anybody else having a young romance, where certain things don't have to be spoken of.
Yeah.
How much is just okay.
Well, like
it's
it
a delicate
feels
line.
very performative for her to just come out and say, "Oh yeah, Dumbledore was gay for Grindelwald." Okay, if that's the case, since this is going on and you've got both characters,
Moon Knight.
show it.
Speaking of which.
Show it.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be like explicit or anything. Just show that relationship is a thing.
Yeah.
Make it known that that's what's happening. Otherwise, you just said it to make you sound, hip and woke.
See, and I have to look back and think, like, was I seeing things because I knew that she had said he was gay and that they'd had a relationship? Or was I seeing things in the last Fantastic Beast movie? Like I have to go back and think, like, what was I seeing? Because I certainly saw the pining away as Newt was pining away for the other, like the
I can't think of her name.
Black.
Yeah. Oh.
Right. She's a member of the Black family. Seriously.
No, Lestrange.
Lestrange. That was it. Lestrange. Sorry. Yeah, she's not a member of the Black family. She's a member of the Lestrange family.
Lita, I think.
Lestrange. Leah Lestrange. Yeah. So we saw the pining, and then you see Dumbledore pining for Grindelwald. So there you go. It's a lot. It's a lot. Always like that more.
Yes. So, why isn't anyone else gay without it being near world-breaking catastrophe?
Yeah. Like just our, and there definitely could have been a lot more representation. Certainly in the last 3 or 4 Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
Could have definitely, but onward and upward. Moving forward, do better.
Yes.
So
basically what this comes down to is do better, don't be a turf, don't be an asshole.
Yep. But also don't be lazy, and don't do we don't want what it's baiting.
Yes. Queer baiting. In this case. And also there is that famous saying in writing and film, show, don't tell.
Yeah. And that's the difference between queer coding and queer baiting.
Yes.
That's the difference.
That is the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Queer coding, it actually exists. There actually are. This is what it is, and this is what was safe for us to do at that time. So queer coding has actually a very florid history, and I think it's
there's
great.
Oddly enough, so the reason why a lot of the LGBTQ community happens to enjoy and find a lot of these quote-unquote villains so hot is because for the longest time, villains have been queer-coded.
We're owning it. You were trying to make it look like a bad thing. Meanwhile, we think Scar is fabulous. So screw it.
It's like, no, he's hot as fuck.
He's fabulous. And who doesn't want to be Ursula? Yeah.
Yes, I would like to look a little bit slimmer than Ursula personally, but you know what? Like somewhere between Ursula and her sister, a little bit of curves.
A little bit of curves, and we're all going to be happy.
But no, Ursula's a fucking badass queen. Yes. Like,
and she didn't break the contract.
No.
She didn't break the rules.
Now,
it's not her fault, Ariel.
Morally speaking, maybe should have, informed her better.
Didn't say she was moral.
But it's the fucking fine print. That's with any legal contract. You could just say that about Disney itself. Like that's just a metaphor for Disney.
Correct. And Maleficent was just calling out the mean girls.
Exactly.
She's just calling them out. It's not her fault. So there. Yes, that is absolutely the difference between queer baiting and queer coding. And I love that queer baiting gets called out for exactly what it is. That's the telling, but it's not real. Queer coding, showing.
Well,
Okay.
prime example of that is fucking LeFou in the live action Disney movie of Beauty and the Beast. They're like, oh, he's gay for Gaston. It's like, okay, we know this. You queer coded him as such. Are you going to show it, or are you just fucking telling us?
At the end, maybe a little bit.
Not really.
When he
Like, yes, he does kiss a guy, but like, again, you could also just say people got caught up in the moment too.
yeah. No, you're right. It could be a cop out. Don't. Yeah.
Like the way they went about being like, oh yeah, LeFou is definitely queer. It's like,
we knew that.
Yes. Are you going to do something to, like explicitly show this, or is this just us being like, yes, you queer coded him to begin with? Like,
And honestly, there have been so many moments. Like, I always like to bring up Waylon Smithers on Simpsons. So it's interesting what they did with Smithers. Like, it starts out as a delicate balance. I don't know if you've ever seen Smithers on Simpsons, or how old I guess the in jokes were with Smithers. So of course, The Simpsons has gotten older. The character has gotten more. I as with a lot of the narratives, it gets taken more seriously. And so okay. Set aside the bad, set time the times when they got it wrong. Set aside, when they were trying to, I guess, make it a funny thing. And they've grown up a bit since then. And they've even mentioned that Bart Simpson is probably a little less than straight and all these other things. But one moment that I like, and one moment that sometimes gets brought up is, we're not asking for like everybody to make out with
oh my god, Rob, did you actually find a fucking flowchart for us?
Yeah, like, we're not asking everyone to make out with everybody. We don't need all the Smithers jokes. We don't need all of this. But there's a moment where Waylon Smithers, like, I accepted that it was just me. I accepted like the lot in my life. I accepted how I felt. But he will say, like, he will say something to say, like, when he finally stands up for himself, and he finally says something like that. Yeah,
okay, so we've got this one.
And that's another way to show it, is to have somebody like own their identity and kind of own the moments that they've had where they even tried to, kind of, either they were hiding it, or they were kind of accepting that they were never going to have it, or they were trying to force something on themselves. And then they just kind of have this moment where, like, this is who I am. This is how I felt about you, and I can completely accept that you will never feel this way about me, but I'm definitely going to tell you that this is how I feel about you. This is who I am, and this is who I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Yep. And that's it. And I'm like, you can have a moment like that. You don't have to have somebody like a weird kiss in the rain. You don't have to have this, but you have a moment of identity and ownership, even if it's a bit tragic or if it's completely life affirming. And that's something where the character is stating very, very clearly and not pulling any punches exactly who they are. That's important for the audience. It's important for the character. And
exactly.
Given moments like that to a character who was originally done as something of a joke. And now he's like the one with the backbone on the show.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's a good one. It's so, yeah, he is, because his cowardly moment, that's what they're saying, that Smithers is like the log cabin toady. And I'm like, yeah, he's definitely a gay Republican. However, he has, and whereas he's been less public about certain political stances that he takes because of his lifestyle, he is also aided, but on the down low, like the Democratic Party or something like that. And I'm like, which is kind of more of the sign of the fact that Simpsons has been around for 30 years, as opposed to something we would find admirable in a character today.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, Smithers did used to be black.
And Apu was yellow once.
Yeah, Simpsons has done some weird things.
I think it was a typo, but there is an episode where Apu is yellow, and it's like, oh, that looks weird. That doesn't work.
It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, but I love the dissertation. If you ever get a chance, there's a YouTube channel called The Take, which does a fantastic dissection, has a video specifically about the difference between queer coding and queer baiting today, and it calls out a lot of violators in that, and they actually have this one moment where somebody called out someone who is, kind of like you making the point, like, don't be safe, or don't be like, well, I'm this for this, or I'm gay for this person, or they had this and this moment, and then acting like you could take it back just in case you don't want to have to explain it to the Midwesterners or whatever, which is also not a great, I don't like people being lumped in like that either. And that's literally something they used to do as well. Yeah, I like to see like a pair of balls from the production team. I like to see like just do it. Just,
Yeah.
And
stop. Again, it comes back to
stop.
show, don't tell.
Yes.
Is what this really, like,
that
the universal, if you're going to do something, go whole hog.
Well, it's like you're trying to get the community like, oh, look, we're gonna like hint at this ship when we're gonna do a little teaser trailer that makes it look like this, but it's not gonna go so far that we're gonna lose this other audience base. I'm like, why do you want that audience?
Yeah. No, like, on the one hand, I get like it'd be one thing if it was just the big like character development thing where it starts off as the like forlorn, like pining for another person, and then like you've got a second movie, so you continue on and develop that more. But like character development is important.
Again, like, why are you doing the show? Is it just a money grab, or are you actually trying to create something meaningful here? And that's the other thing. Like, queer coding does not need to exist anymore. It's storied history should be done now. We should have moved past that, behind that, away from that necessity. As much as we've enjoyed it over the decades, we should have moved past that. And they also do this, this takedown of an actress who it kind of got called out by her friends for pretending to be they, them, pretending to be, out of nowhere, literally having a talk with one of her friends about, well, maybe this will help me get more likes. Maybe this will help me do this if I pretend that I'm, gender fluid with non-binary, and actually had that conversation with somebody. And I'm like, unfortunately, she wouldn't be the first. And that was her way of, turning herself into somebody who could say she was a member of a community.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
like, my pronouns are she, they. Like, I never feel like a guy.
Right.
But there are times I don't necessarily feel like a girl.
It is gender fluidity, and all of that are things that actually do exist. They actually are dissected. Yeah. There's psychologists and therapists and psychiatrists and everything else that actually does exist. But it's also the easiest to fake. It's unfortunately, and this had to do with very clear timing on this person's part, very clear methodical choice, and people first being suspicious because they'd known her for so long.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're kind of the person we think would make this shit up. And it turned out, yeah. And I was like, okay, so real life queer baiting. Got it. Which I've had my suspicions of people in the past, but that has more to do with having grown up with people that, like, when they were able to verbalize who they were, I was like, okay, that totally makes sense. Because, and again, I shouldn't have to know somebody for years for their affirmation. So it's not my place. It's not my business. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I understand kind of where the suspicion came from, given my own personal experience with people that I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I love you. And I'm like, and what people say about gender and everything else makes so much sense to me. Like, and I want to like learn more and accept, because I was lucky enough to be around people who were learning how to verbalize it from a very young age and help me understand it. So there you go.
Yes, Stephen Ross.
And meat popsicle.
I'm a meat popsicle. Also,
Me
apparently, I accidentally started a meme on my Twitch channel saying that we identify as Batman.
I say identify as Batman. I mean, yes, and at a certain point, the jokes are perfect, and at other times, it's like, yeah, but yes, that's it. I feel like I was a little bit lucky in that sense, and also that I always feel like a girl. So if I'm accepting the fact that I always feel like a girl, then I have to counterpoint accept the fact that other people don't.
Exactly.
There
like
you go.
You're lucky if you can always identify as the sex that you were born as.
I am so freaking normal. I am so sadly blonde, blue-haired, white, boring, cisgendered, not entirely straight. It's okay. Always female. But knowing that about myself means that, again, counterpoint, I accept that all the other possibilities exist as well. Because that's just how refraction works in my head. It's like, if this exists, so does this. There you go. There you go.
Wish more people were like that.
I think I was.
But some people get roadblocks in their head because of religious beliefs.
Even the inability to wrap their mind around something being different from them.
The idea of the other.
The other. That's not the way it works. I'm like, well, how do you know? Because I don't feel that way. That's not how.
Okay, but your lived experience is not everyone's lived experience.
That's not what. No.
Just because you've never experienced racism doesn't mean racism doesn't exist. For example.
All of that. Okay, so we've reached the fun part now that we've gotten to know each other. We've reached that fun part where I'm going to mention a couple of the breakdowns that I've read, because I never saw it, of the leaked footage from No Way Home. So if you don't want to know any of it, and I will say it has nothing to do with really the plot of No Way Home, nor does it really have any big surprises in it. It's just kind of the first time people got to see things that they knew, aside from one big reveal. So, okay, here we go. You had your chance to leave. First, I'm going to get into the basic spoiler, which has nothing to do with the leak footage, but has to do with, I don't know if Lego meant to do this on purpose, but there's a Lego toy pack that came out for Multiverse of Madness, because of course they release, for conventions and everything else, and release the dates, and for the merchandise comes out first. So there's a lot of merchandise footage that tends to leak stuff I don't think people think about. And one was a battle on the cover of the Lego box that is like with America Chavez and Wanda and Doctor Strange, and them fighting. I'm going to mess up his name. It's Gargantus, I think is his name. I remember him as this huge octopus, and it always hit me as the Marvel version of Starro.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Avenger level threat, huge meta monster. So there is a Lego toy out there that shows them battling that. Now, does that mean the monster is in the movie? Not necessarily. It could just be a thing. Now, America Chavez was already confirmed. They announced the actress, and they announced the character. That was already confirmed if you go to the IMDb. Of course, Wanda was already confirmed. Elizabeth Olsen being in it was already confirmed. These are things that we saw. Not we, but that were shown in this leaked footage, teaser trailer / post-credit scene. We saw, you hear Doctor Strange talking and what the multiverse is and the responsibility involved. All of that. What happened?
So, I just heard a noise and I'm like, what the hell is it? It's Esri doing little kitty snores. I was like, what the hell was that?
So we have all of that. Now, I think that, and this is something Lyssa and I were talking about, that the episodes of What If that we've seen obviously tie in with multiverse possibilities, as we're, it's a great way to kind of showcase. And it means that if you see something in a multiverse movie and you've seen it in an episode of What If, more expounded upon, and then you see just a little flash of it or a little moment in something like the Multiverse of Madness, it makes a little more sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
So this leaked footage that came out basically had, Doctor Strange talking. We see, apparently we see Wanda Maximoff casting a spell. And anybody correct me if I'm missing anything or I'm elaborating or I'm thinking about something from somewhere else. But this is what I seem to remember from, and I'm trying to piece together what people have only been allowed to write, because of course Disney has done a great job of scrubbing it off the internet. It does not exist.
Cease and desist letters do a lot
of damage. Plus, there's a lot of people, that they will get threatened by Disney. A lot of, if you're an official site, you can announce the fact that the footage was leaked, but you have to be really careful, because if Disney doesn't want you to post it, and you still want to have like inside, you want to be able to interview people from Disney and you want to be able to post stuff about them, don't piss them off. So,
yep,
there you go. So talking, and we get like a little introduction to America Chavez. We get a little introduction to, Wanda Maximoff and him saying he needs her help. If you're not familiar with America Chavez, go check her out. This is a great character addition. And the actress that they've cast is perfect. And then we have, so here's the spoiler part that comes back to, there's an episode of What If where we see what would happen if Doctor Strange becomes evil. So now it appears that one possibility for Doctor Strange is that his ultimate evil is fighting his ultimate evil self. That in one of the multiverses, there is an evil Doctor Strange. And this is somebody that our Doctor Strange is going to have to fight. So that is a possibility for what this post-credit scene has been, which is also supposed to be the teaser trailer in the next part for Multiverse of Madness. And of course, we won't know that for sure until tomorrow, but there you go. And that makes a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense. That would be the ultimate evil. Would be Doctor Strange Supreme, I believe, is what the character is.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Voila.
She, Quake, and Kamala Khan make a great team. Oh, America, dude.
So her introduction opens up a lot of other characters that we would really like to see, and Quake and Kamala Khan would be.
I want to see them bring back the actress that was Quake in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She did a great job.
Yeah, and again, this is where a lot of people are hoping, because like this person works with this person, so that means that this person exists in this world. That means that we could get come back.
Yeah, please bring back the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. people.
Yeah.
They did a great job with that show, and they fucked it up by not including it as a part of the MCU.
Yeah. No, and it's important, and I'm glad they introduced Sword. I'm glad they introduced that, but yeah. There you go. Deal. Who here is planning to go see Spider-Man? That's what I'm curious about.
I will eventually. Josh and I will probably find a late night showing and go to it.
Yeah. I think Alec and I are actually planning on doing the early bird special.
Well, just because my Opa has good days and bad days.
Yes.
It's easier for us to just wait until my Opa gets in bed, and then go out to go see a movie.
Yes.
If that's what we want to do.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
Because we did that with what did we just watch?
At theaters, we are able to. This will be, I think, my first theater outing. I think it's been that long.
Oh, we went and saw the new Ghostbusters. That's what it was. I'm okay. We literally just watched it this week. Why am I blanking?
What did you think?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think people gave it a lot of shit, but it's a new it's basically them handing the torch to the new generation of potential Ghostbusters.
Well, it's certainly going to be a lot better than the last one that came out.
We don't speak about that one.
It doesn't exist. Never happened.
Yes, Afterlife was a great movie. It wasn't as comedic as 1 and 2.
No.
But this one kind of had to be a love letter because what is it, Harold? He's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's no longer around. So you had to make it more somber.
Yeah.
You had to account for the fact that Egon is no longer there. He cannot be there. Yeah. And so actually focusing it around his daughter's family made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. That's the other reason I wanted to see it. Because, I mean, Ghostbusters, I was really little, kind of scared me a little bit. But, of course, as I got older, I was just like, I love this movie. I thought
good movies.
It was a good movie. So no matter what, I'm going to see it. But I made the deal. I wanted to go see it in theater when it first opened. But Alex like, no, not until we've seen James Bond. I said, okay, go get the tickets for James Bond. We never got the tickets for James Bond. So we never saw Ghostbusters yet. But
Alec, I'm officially calling you out, Alec.
I'm putting my foot down. We're definitely. Oh, call him out. He saw Wonder Woman without me, and then lied to me about it. Yeah.
Alec.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. No, because that's he has to buy the tickets for Spider-Man. I always buy the popcorn and stuff. He buys the tickets because it's like we're still dating. Stupid. That's stupid.
You two live together and have pets together.
Basically kids, which I had to share one of our when we got the dogs. We had only lived in Georgia for a little while when we got the dogs, so that was like our first official pets. And as we decided to keep them and they became official foster fails, our text messages greatly changed from whatever they had been when we first started dating, which were adorable and naughty, to okay, Pee-wee pooped, he pooped, and it was a big one, he feels much better. I'm like, yay. And I read through the messages and I'm like, wow, we've lost some of the romance in our life.
You adopted kids.
Fur babies and the fosters. The cats are gone.
Aw.
Yeah, cats are officially at the foster house waiting for their transport up north. Yeah. Huh. So we're gonna let these ones go up north. They got, nice thick soft coats and somebody's gonna fall in love with them. But yeah, they were good. But it's different to have a cat in the house. It's different to have 3 cats in the house. But it was really cute that the dogs were a lot less angry about the cats than they were about any of the puppies we've brought into the house.
Yep.
So there you go.
The cats will kick their ass and have no qualms with it.
Yeah. Yep. How did he not end up sleeping on the floor for that? Yeah.
Yes, Chris. Did you hear about Chris's cat buddy?
Oh, yes. Alec did let me know. Yes. Alec did tell me. Yeah.
So, yeah, poor buddy. But we knew it was coming.
Yeah, you always hope for I don't know.
You hope for them to rally and be around for a while, but
and it's hard. I feel bad saying it because I feel like it's something that needs to be explained to people who maybe haven't lost in a while. I said, like I've lost pets suddenly, and I've done this, and so there's something I feel very calm when I know somebody got to say goodbye, because biggest fear is that you don't get to say goodbye. Will you be quiet? That's the biggest fear. So it's very sad, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Is that an itty?
That is an itty. I don't know what they're barking at. But yeah. One of the rabbits is probably doing something.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yes, Buddy was an old man kitty. He was like 18, 19, maybe even 20.
God. My mom's got a 20-year-old dog hanging on right now. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Baby.
Were there other topics that we had lined up?
Nope.
Alrighty. Well, we are almost at 8 o'clock, guys.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take like half an hour to just chill out before I do a Twitch stream.
Yay.
I'm going to continue playing BioShock.
So head on over to Twitch at Geek Girl Lyssa to follow up with her at 8 o'clock. Don't forget.
8:30.
8:30, sorry.
I'm taking 30 minutes to like get tea and everything.
Yeah. I keep thinking it's 7:30. Nope, it's almost 8 o'clock. Yes. 30-minute break. Well, good luck tonight. Kick some ass.
I will probably get killed by Big Daddy a few dozen times. And there will be plenty of phrasing jokes because of just the name Big Daddy.
Of course. Of course.
All right, guys. We will see you next Thursday. Thank you so much. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. And if you happen to be Jewish, for example, happy Hanukkah. I think today is the last day of Hanukkah, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Yep. It is. It is. Happy Festival of Lights. Yes. My mom, we did the last one on my mom's. I remember I'm counting in my head now. Don't doubt. Yes. I'm going to say yes. She sent me a picture. Yes. So there you go. I was like, wait, what? I can't do the math. Where's my calendar? Bad Jewish daughter. Bad Jewish daughter. Yes, the one covered in tattoos. Sorry.
It happens.
It does. It does. I have. Hanukkah was. That's all right. I like it better than Passover, but Yom Kippur is the big one. So
I was gonna say Hanukkah's the one that like it's important, but it's like out of the Jewish holidays, the least important.
Correct. It's a little ritual, and you get presents, but we also had a Christmas tree every year because Dad was Protestant. So there you go.
That'll do it.
Yep. All right, everyone. Thank you.
See you all next
so
time.
much for joining us. Have a great rest of your week and live long and prosper. And thank you.
Bye.